What's going on, guys? This is Jimmy.
Hey, this is Rachel.
Thank you all so much for joining us on Relationship Real Talk. We are so excited to be here today. We have two special guests that's going to be on the show. Actually, they're more special to me than they probably to you.
Well, if they're special to you,
they're special
to me. I know that sounds corny.
Because we're one.
Because I just think that it's important to embrace, whoever I must embrace them as well.
I don't know why that sounds
and
politically
they understand
correct.
If they know you, they understand the struggle.
Well, yeah, we are so excited about today's show. We're starting a new series. This series is going to be Real Marriages, Real Talk.
Yes, we thought it'd be a good idea. We've had, different people on here, but we thought it'd be a good idea just to get real marriages, people from different walks of life who have different stories, been married, whether it be from less than a year to 25 plus years. Mm-hmm. So that's the series that we're going to be doing for these next few weeks.
Next few weeks. And so, as usual, we want you guys to share, like, comment, do what you've been doing, because we want you all to come on in the living room with us.
The only thing that I need my people to do, though, is y'all are joining and you're saying hello, but please rep your city, because I already know Miami is on here. So I need Miami to go ahead and rep.
So when you say rep your city, what does that mean to them?
What it means to them, or what it should mean, is just put the city where you're watching us from.
Okay.
If you're in a different country, because we've had people from Africa.
We sure did. That was kind of neat.
That was really neat. And so, that's the great thing about technology. It allows us all to connect in some way, shape, or form. So we got some people that have already joined us. Angela, let me tell you something. Angela, she's competing for #1 fan now.
I'm sorry.
With Dion.
Angela got it.
I don't know, because let me tell you something. I can't shortchange my sister Carla, because she's been trying to join us. We've had some
keyword is trying. She hasn't always succeeded.
It wasn't her fault. Last week we weren't even on, and we had been on every week. Carla, I got you. But we also have, like I said, Angela Ruffins out there. We got Michelle Turner. Tell us where you're watching us from, Michelle. La Trishelle. Okay, Chisley. Hello, how are you? You're excited. We're excited to have you. She says Michelle Turner's watching us from Monroe, Alabama.
Louisiana, girl.
I mean, Monroe, Louisiana.
no, Monroe, Alabama. Where is
Carla
that?
said 305 in the house. Yes, baby. MIA. We got Mobile, Alabama.
All right.
Maceo Herndon. We got Decula, Georgia. All right. Carla said, brother-in-law, watch it. She's going to be talking noise on here.
Well, look, I expect nothing less.
Yes, rep your city. Say a shout out, hello. Come on in the living room. I mean, we want to have conversation. We want to feel like you guys are right here. We were doing this before the quarantine, but it's just so apropos that now, we can't even get out and touch you anyway. So Come on in with us. I want to introduce our guests. They waited long enough. Dietrich and Sean Mitchell were married on May 26, 2012. And together they have been blessed with 7 children. Both are 1988, 98, 88. That's my year. Graduates of Carroll High School in Monroe, Louisiana. Mm-hmm. They've been the pastor and first lady of Mount Calvary Christian Center in Houston, Texas for the last 3 years. And they are both graduates of Christ Tabernacle Christian School. Mm-hmm. They're in their second marriage and believe that God was preparing them for each other.
Amen.
They have vast experience in counseling couples as well as singles. It sounds like we have a lot in common.
We do.
Their happiness comes from being able to counsel couples through godly leadership and direction. They plan to write a book on their experience in the near future. Can't wait to hear about that. Yeah, and hear about that book and read about that book. And we'll give you guys an opportunity to tell the people a little bit more about it. Let's put our hands together for Dietrich and Sean. Come on, baby.
Yes.
Baby, where's our clap?
It's on there, sweetheart. It's clapping. My goodness.
He's coming up short with these claps.
You have...
I'm trying to get him there.
Let me get the pastor on here. Pastor.
I'm praying for you, brother. I'm praying for you.
I'm just trying to, uplift, edify.
Listen, guys, look, This is, for me, this is very special because
bet
it's very rare that I have two people from my hometown on the show. So I'm going to give you guys, I know you read the bio, but let me go ahead and give you my bio of the Sean and I actually were going to Wasman High School together, and she traded and then went to Carroll.
Hey.
She traded and went to Carroll.
Stuff already.
Yeah, because
Carroll. Be careful. You got some Carroll grads on here listening to.
Listen, hey, well, they already know.
Listen, your people are supporting. We got Missouri City, Texas on here. Melanie Rogers. Listen,
but yeah, so she transferred over to Carroll, and Pastor Mitchell here, Dietrich, he and I were competitors on that basketball court.
Right.
He played basketball for Carroll, and I was with Wasman. And here's the funny part: he was always quiet.
Okay. Because you weren't quiet.
No, I was not.
That's why we were so close. We were both quiet.
Right? Yeah. What? My wife is like, no.
Anybody? No. Wow, we got Carroll High School representing. I don't know who y'all know, but they are blowing up.
Hey, right.
People are supporting.
Listen, I have a deep, long-standing love for the Carroll Bulldogs. My entire family went to Carroll High School, with the exception of one family that was the Skirfield family and me. I went to Wasman, they went to Neville, but everybody else went to Carroll. Wow. So we grew up on Carroll High School. So,
that's right. As
much as as much as we were rivals, there's a deep love for Carroll High School. They've just always been a pillar of that community. So they used to call their band Baby Grambling. That's how good they.
That's right.
Yeah.
Oh, wow, that's awesome.
So they have a rich history in our community. But guys, thank you all so much for joining us.
Thank you for inviting us on. Thanks for having us. We're excited.
I have been listening to you all's your show, and I see that you implemented the new software, man.
Thank you, ma'am.
It looks amazing. You know what I mean?
Yes,
so guys, I just pray that God will continue to bless your ministry. And hopefully Rachel and I'll get a chance to get on down to Houston and visit you all soon.
Would love it.
We would love it.
Summer, she may be a little bit more free to travel now.
I'm a little bit.
She's a little bit more free.
Yeah.
But guys, like we said, we wanted to start a series called Real Marriage, Real Talk. And I know you all know this because a lot of people get in marriage with a false sense of what marriage is going to be. It's that picturesque Disney movie, Hollywood, picket fence. And I'm not saying that you cannot acquire those things, but it does not always look like that at first, And I just believe that even with me, when I'm working with couples, and I prefer premarital counseling prior to just counseling.
Come on.
Because I joke, I was like, man, if I talk to 10 people, 9 of them should not get married.
Been there.
That's really how I feel, because most people going into it with a false idea of what marriage is.
Not that they don't love each other. Right.
Exactly. Right. Most people do not know who they are getting involved in this institution with. And then 6 months in, they're like, man, I ain't signed up for this.
Right.
And I'm like, no, yeah, you did,
What did I get myself into?
Right.
They
and
try to return and don't even need a receipt. They just want no refund, just take them back.
I don't even want my money back. Just let me free.
Just take it.
Gives me free, But yeah, so we wanted to sort of highlight through this Real Talk. This Real Marriage, Real Talk. Some of the things that people are going to encounter. Even when you have two people who understand what the institution of marriage is, there's still some inherent struggles that's going to come with that union.
Yeah. Exactly.
And then when you start adding stuff like blended families, all of those things tend to just compound how difficult it can be if the two adults in the relationship don't have a plan and they're not, as Rachel and I say, they're not on one accord with how they're going to attack the situation. And so, we know that you all have had
they've been married for 8 years.
8 years, just like that.
Our anniversary is actually Tuesday.
Yeah, I was gonna say your anniversary is coming up.
And ours is on the 20th. Yeah, ours is next month on the 24th. And it'll be our 8th anniversary. Yeah, so
this is not our first marriage.
Right. Right.
Right.
So we have a lot in common. And I love the fact that you all said that that God was preparing you for each other.
Correct.
You know, sometimes even in the Christian community, we don't really look down on divorce, right?
Mhm.
And the Bible clearly says that God hates divorce,
Correct.
but then he gave a whole bunch of other reasons
Come on, help.
that divorce is, hey,
That's right.
and
That's right.
so,
I'll allow it.
God is like, okay, under these set of circumstances, I will allow divorce. And I think sometimes in the Christian community, we sort of encourage people to stay in unions
Right.
that are really detrimental,
Correct.
and I just wanted to have a discussion with you all today, just some general talk about marriage, because I know that you all both are in ministry, and
Correct.
before we even get there, how did you all come to me? What is your story?
Tell us
You,
about
you, you, you want the exciting story, or you want her part, or you want her story?
Well, let's start with Sean's first, and then
All
we'll
right.
let out the real information.
Yeah, usually they pick up, one will pick up where the other one leaves off.
I would like to say this, that, of course, like we said, this is our second marriage.
Mhm.
I always knew that I would marry again. I had that asked to me quite a few times, would you marry again? Because my first marriage, and I'm not on here to bash my first marriage, because we still love our ex.
Right.
But I knew all marriages wasn't the same. And I knew, because of what I went through in the marriage, that there was something better, and that God would bless me. I always said that was my testimony. So first of all, that opened the door for God to bless me. Right.
Amen.
That's right.
So this is someone I went to school with, high school with, never dated. We never thought about dating. We was in the same circle, but never connected with each other. Never tried to, even beyond those years. We never connected. But once I decided to come out of my shell, after going through what I went through in my first marriage, I decided one day I'm going to open up. I'm going to get on Facebook, because I avoided it for years. I did my business, didn't want to talk about it. But once I let that go, and time I got on, it was like, bam, here's Sean on Facebook, and got a lot of, we want to see you. I want to come see you. Come here, visit with me, and this and that. And nothing ever moved me until this guy.
Uh-oh.
I went in the chat room, which I don't go to the chat room, and he happened to be in there. And I was, and I think, first of all, no, I missed something very important. I was sending out friends requests to all the people I went to school with at Wassman and Carroll, because I'm a mixed breed. That's what I said.
Right.
Look at Jimmy to my right.
You are a mixed breed.
Yes, I am. I love them both dearly. And so when I saw his face, I looked at his picture and said, I'm not going to send him a request, because we ain't got nothing. We're not going to say nothing to each other. This is exactly what I said. It was like a week later, his request was in my box. And different story, but it was there. And I was like, well, we ain't going to say nothing, but I'll go ahead and accept it. And then we end up in the chat room. And I'm going to say from there, we talked every day since.
Wow.
We did.
I like that.
The funny thing is, I don't remember sending her a request. And I wasn't on Facebook. And my daughter, who was at the time turning 14 or 15, decided she wanted to be on Facebook. So I made a page so I could watch her.
Right.
She said, well, Dad, I'll just give you my password. You don't have to do all this. You can just go check. And so she had I think she sent her a request. I don't remember doing it. She didn't know her, but God put us together. God put us together. We both loved being married. When we were married, we both loved it. And we both said, okay, there will be a time where we both will get married. Little did we know it would be to each other, because as she said, we knew each other. We were friendly. I would give her a smile in the hallway. As you said, I was very quiet. I would give her a smile. But as far as that, we didn't go. So when we talk to people, we're able to give them this story that say, oh, it happened once. I can't go down this road again. Well, no, you can't say what you're not going to do. You have to score for you, and you can't fight that.
Right.
There was something powerful about what you said, Sean. You said you got to the point where you realized you had to kind of put yourself out there. And when you not put yourself out there so much in dating, but like telling your story and kind of pushing through. And so many people after they've been married and
Mhm.
divorced, it's easy to kind of crawl up in a shell or start to feel like, I know for me, it was like, oh, I feel like a failure because my
Mhm.
marriage failed.
Yeah.
And as opposed to looking, turning over that other side of that coin and saying, wait a minute, how can I take this, learn from it, and then help other people? So that's a
Correct.
powerful thing that you said there. What we do want to know, you're both in ministry, right? How
Correct.
did you two get into ministry together?
Well, let me tell that one. We met. I was a deacon. I was teaching Sunday school. I was actually in Lafayette, Louisiana when we met, when we started talking. I was working for a company and they had me in Lafayette. And she would tell me all the time, "You're more than a deacon." She would call me and I was teaching Wednesday night Bible study and I would tell her what my teaching was going to be for the week. And she always would tell me, "You're so much more than a deacon." I'm like, no, God hadn't told me to do anything.
Mm.
Right here where I am. I'll teach and I'll go back, do what I want to do after that. So then about a year later, once we decided we were in love, we knew it. And she was saying, well, I'll leave Houston and come to Lafayette. I'm like, no, I don't want you to do that. I'll come there. 2 days after that, my job asked me, would I transfer to Houston?
Wow.
No, that was God. So I ended up transferring to Houston. And of course, we got married a little less than a year later than that. And we started going to churches because we wanted to jail together. We wanted to grow together. And the thing about the ministry, I ran from it. And I see we have a lot of church members that are on here. God bless you guys. I ran from it for a long time. And they would tell you, I was like, you say, you guys are our pastors. You're our leaders. I'm like, no, we're not. We're just going to come to church with you guys. That's all we're going to do. She was my inspiration. You know, God was my elevation. She was my inspiration on me moving to a different level. Because it's easy to sit here and say I've been this great husband that every day she was smiling. I think at the beginning it was more frowns than smiles. And I knew I didn't want to lose my marriage. And I knew God was the only one who could bring me to a different place. And the beautiful thing, Jimmy, as you said, Wiseman Carroll, we loved each other. When we were going to school, we all connected with each other, but we came from different sides of the city. My side of the city was a little rougher, and we had this edge to us where rah, rah, and she didn't have that. And so I knew that I was losing my love.
Right.
I was losing her. And I didn't want to do that. And I asked God to do whatever he needed to do to me, take away. I didn't know he was going to say, okay, go start ministering. I thought he was going to say, well, start working a little less or doing something, but I didn't know that. But that's what it took to change me. And I'm so thankful for it. And so she was my inspiration in us getting into the ministry. And she has been right here with me.
Wow.
She's the one when my head is down telling me, we're going to move forward. So it's just been great to have somebody with you that she's a protector of me.
Wow.
A lot of pastors don't have the wife who's a protector, but she's a protector of me. She knows when I'm not going, when there's something wrong, and she doesn't have to come and start praying or put her arm around me or just kiss me on the forehead, whatever it is. And I'm so thankful that God connected us before he elevated me, because I don't know if that would have happened any different way.
Okay, I think we froze there just for a second there. Can you hear me?
We can hear
you.
Okay, awesome.
Good. We were frozen just for a
second. We were frozen just for a second. But guys, listen, let me tell you something. There is one thing that I have learned being in ministry and listening to a lot of pastors, and being around a lot of pastors. A lot of pastors' marriages have suffered due to ministry.
Correct.
And of course, because I am who I am, I'm very observant. I listen to people and I watch for patterns of behavior, right? And I used to always wonder, like, man, what kind of wife do they have if their marriage is going bad because they in ministry, right?
Yeah.
That was my initial thought.
Come on.
But as I kept listening to all of these common stories through my brethren in ministry, I was like, oh, this ain't got nothing to do with God.
Come on.
This is you trying to elevate your status as a preacher.
Yes.
So because our first ministry is home.
Correct.
Our first ministry is home.
That's correct.
And once we take care of home and we're ministering correctly at home, God is not going to have us on an assignment that's going to jeopardize the union he put together.
Exactly.
So when I would always challenge people like, okay, man, you know, I hear you saying she's upset because you're doing this, you're doing that. How often are you doing that?
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying? Because sometimes we can't see the forest for the trees, so to speak. You know,
Correct.
We don't see that you're giving that more time than you're giving your first ministry.
Yes.
At the end of the day, God he doesn't want you to abandon your first ministry, which is your wife, your family.
That's correct. That's correct.
He wouldn't have you say, oh, well, you go ahead and preach to everybody else and you have not ministered to your family.
Right.
But there's something that Dietrich said that was so powerful to me. And if there are any single people out there listening who want to get married, who've been married before, and I believe this also happened with us, when it's a God thing, you don't have to force a fit.
Right.
Come on.
You know, things just come into place. Now, don't get me wrong. You still have to have that connection with God because you got to be able to hear his voice. You got to be able to take steps forward when you don't necessarily know the next thing he's going to bless you with.
Right.
However, if you were not obedient to it, you're not in position to receive it. Like they say, there's nothing better that when opportunity meets preparation.
Exactly.
And so I think that's a perfect example of even how when he said, I didn't even send her the message, but it was meant to be that the message was sent, even if it was by his daughter. So I think that's just a powerful thing as I listen to your story and the direction that you're going.
But, you know, and what I was getting to as far as the ministry was concerned, that when you have your spouse in that ministry with you, you all are walking that journey together
as one. That's right.
So now it's like, okay, so collectively you all can look at each other like, oh yeah, we're not going to take that one because we're going to do this with the kids this month. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? And so now it's no strain on one person to have to make all of the sacrifices. Now you guys are working as a unit. And that to me is powerful because I'm going to tell you, when I watched your show last week, I think the prayer meeting.
Right, Tuesday night Bible study, right.
Yeah, I was like, Sean is back there responding to all the calls.
Yeah.
I was like, that's what I'm talking about. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And for me, it was like all he had to do now was just focus on delivering the word.
That's right.
And so she's back there in the background doing all the logistics. I was like,
all the time.
Yeah, man. And to me, people don't understand that's where most of the work is behind the scenes.
That's right.
It is. And I make it even harder on her, Jimmy, because she actually has to write down a lot of it and pass it over to me, you know. So she actually goes above and beyond what is even seen.
Yeah.
She makes all of my graphics that I use. You know, we have a graphic person for the actual church, but when I do my messages and my teaching, she actually does that. She finds my pictures. She stuff jumping on the screen. I'm sitting here like, they didn't teach all that at Carol. So at least I didn't get that part of the teaching.
Right.
So you know, every day God just shows us through this ministry and through us being one, what he is doing.
Right.
Where he is taking us. And we're astonished sometimes. You know, we teach on that. We're not surprised, but we're astonished because we don't deserve it.
Right. Right.
That know that you don't deserve it. God will say, well, let me show you something else here. Let me take you somewhere else here. Oh, you thought you weren't going to be able to go on this trip? Let me have somebody bless you right here. And that's what he does when you give it to him. But as Rachel says, my sister said, the very first thing is we had to make sure home had the love because he sent us to the people if we don't have the love.
Right. And then it just, I don't know about you, but for me, I have this thing about being fake.
Come on.
I don't care how extensive my knowledge is in scripture or in relationships. If I'm standing before the people and mine is in turmoil behind the scenes, I'm not comfortable up there.
Yep.
And there have been many times I've said, God, I don't want to do this. I don't feel that I should be doing this.
Yes.
And so a friend of mine said, Jimmy, why do you think God put you in this? It wasn't because you just the best counselor. It's because he was trying to save you through what you're going to be doing with other people.
Come on.
Yes.
Come on.
I was like, oh my goodness.
Watch out,
you know, so it's not that, you know, even as ministers or relationship experts that we're faultless or perfect.
Yes.
No, this is the tool God is using to refine us.
Right.
You know,
Exactly.
Right.
Perfect.
Because my thing is, there sometimes God will give me stuff to say to a couple, and then he'll go, yeah, and that one's for you too.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
You start saying ouch.
That's right.
Saying ouch to
Uh-huh.
yourself. You know?
Right, right.
Yeah, we talk about that.
Swipe
Preaching to myself.
Swipe the bugs off you. Like, oh, what's biting me right here? Yeah.
How can we tell other people, or give other people advice if we're not actually using that ourselves? Like you feel
Yes.
conflicted. So I'm like,
Yes.
well, I guess I better go ahead and say I'm sorry, or I guess I better go ahead and do this. Don't be looking crazy.
Oh, I'm just
and they'll tell you, I see that we have quite a few of our church members here. They'll tell you, we tell them all the time, we are going to be real. We cannot help you if we are not real. If we
Amen.
like our household is just always a bed of roses and cute cuddly kittens, we're not doing them a service.
Exactly.
That's right.
Service. Because how can we help anybody? How can you guys help anybody if they never felt like you went through anything? If they never felt like there were any hardships on you, they won't come to you. And if they do, they're not going to tell you the truth. They're not going to give you the whole story because they're going to think you're going to judge them. So Mount Calvary Christian Center knows, hey, we don't always do things the right way. There's sometimes some flaws. There's sometimes some situations, but we understand why, because God is saying somebody out there is going to need to hear from me. They're going to have to hear from you because they're going to see that you went through it. So you're exactly right, Jimmy. He has to send us through it so we can help somebody. I can't tell somebody how it is to be hungry if all I ever have is prime USDA beef in my freezer.
Exactly.
Everywhere I opened the refrigerator, and all I saw was the yellow box of Bach and Hammer and a few pieces of bologna. But he got the bologna, and that box and hammer kept my bologna fresh. It's the same way with marriages. Sometimes you're going to go through situations, but they'll keep your marriage fresh if you allow God to guide you through it. So
that's right.
Yeah, that is where you have to be with that.
Listen, let me tell you something. Even when I work and talk to people with veterans, right? Because I'm a veteran, and we talk about some stuff that they've seen and how they've been able to deal with it. If I didn't experience some of that stuff, I couldn't reach them.
That's right.
Right.
And I tell, and from a Christian perspective, and one of our slogans is we give people biblical principles in a practical manner, right?
All right.
Like, okay, here's God. Now here's how you live it.
Yeah, that's right.
A lot of times people give God and they're like, how I supposed to do that?
How does that translate?
Right.
And
and so even with this ministry, I'm like, guys, because I have gone through certain things and because my mannerisms are a certain way, I can relate to you. Which is why Jesus came down here in the first place.
So it can relate.
He would have had to come if we could do it on our own.
Exactly. Well, because God was actually talking to people, literally, audibly.
Exactly.
And it didn't work.
Right.
So God had to send somebody down here who could have a human experience.
Right.
That's right.
Where we could say, oh, wow, he did it. So, it's doable.
That's
right. Example.
And so that's the same experience I think we have as ministers, as counselors. The deal is, it's like not coming across like you've never had that situation.
Right.
That's right.
It's like, listen, guys, I know what you mean because I've been there.
Right.
That's right. Exactly. And it helps people to see
a little bit of my story, right? And so now when you start giving them some tools and some techniques, they can swallow it because, oh, wow.
They can relate to me.
Because they can connect. There's a connection there. Oh, man, he does understand.
And you see this wall come down from
you. You instantly see their body like,
yes.
Yeah, they relax.
People understand the power of testimony. They overcame by the word and the testimony.
Yes.
And sometimes we're so busy trying to give word, and don't get me wrong, love the word of God. But people want to see it active.
That's right.
Life.
Yes.
What is that? And I think that's for us, for our ministry. When we say relationship real talk, we don't just say it because it's an alliteration or it sounds. Yeah. But what we realize after I know my first marriage, 13 years of marriage, and you've had your experiences, what we realize is you're not going to get through this thing called marriage if people are not being real with you.
Correct.
If you're not being transparent about some things and how you overcame.
Yes.
If somebody walks around with a mask as if everything's okay and, hello, sister and brother, and everything is great. I'm not saying that.
Blessed and highly favored.
Yes, I'm blessed.
Yes.
For all those things that we say, there's a time and a place for everything, and you got to let the Holy Spirit lead you as to who you tell what to and when. But I do think as Christians in this present day and time, we have to realize what we are here for. and
That's
that
right.
we are instruments that God is using so that people can see what Christianity looks like in real time.
Right.
That's right.
Come on.
Right.
That's right.
And in marriage.
Yes.
In marriage,
And-
real time in
Mhm.
marriage.
and for
yeah.
us-
There's so many divorces, you know.
Listen, it is so many divorces, and most of these divorces have no real grounds.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? It's like
Yeah. No
irreconcilable.
foundation. And
Like-
they're getting in it saying, if I fall out of love with you, we just get a divorce.
Okay.
Right.
It's
So-
on the foundation of Christ.
It's on my nerves, and I'm really getting on your nerves, so we feel justified.
Right.
Yes.
I
They feel it's
tell you,
justification.
if your life is not being led by principles, they're being led by your preferences.
Yes.
Come
I
on.
love
I
that.
like
Yes.
that.
Preference is fickle. It wavers. It does not, it'll check. You may be real strong about this thing you really like this month and next month and maybe the next 6 months, but the 7th month, you're gonna be like, well, I'm tired of that.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
You
Right.
go to something else, and now you done built a whole relationship off that preference. And
Right.
now that person, like, I thought you said you believed in.
You were okay with it,
Right.
then.
And so now we have to, that's why I tell people, build your relationships off of godly principles.
Amen.
Yes.
If they're built
The way
off
to go.
godly principles, they can withstand anything.
Yes.
Two,
Yes.
if they're built off of godly principles, there are certain things you won't do. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
There are certain issues people of God who are following godly principles just don't deal with.
Correct.
Because you like, I'm staying away from that one.
Correct. Correct.
You know,
Correct.
Put on that.
Run
you
from
know,
I'm not going there. I'm not going to be with this set of people.
Exactly.
I know what
care.
they're talking about. I know where they're going.
Yeah.
I can't go there.
You know,
Exactly.
we talked about
Exactly.
this. The title of the message today at the ministry was, "Are you changing or churching?"
Yes, I saw that.
You can put this into exactly what we're talking about. If we get into a marriage and I like the toothpaste hit from the bottom and she likes it right there so she can flatten it back out. Okay, are we gonna change, or are we gonna church? Are we gonna keep fighting about it, or are we gonna make a change? Or are we gonna come to an agreement? Okay, tell you what, since I'm your wife and I love you that much and you want your toothpaste that way, I go buy your own tube and leave it on your side so we don't have to fight about it.
Amen. Amen. That's what
That's
works for
simple.
us.
Man,
But we've talked to people, we've heard from people who will break up because of the soap they use. And I don't like how she washed my clothes. Okay, wash your own clothes. You should have been raised to wash your own clothes anyway. You depend on a woman for that. You depend on her because you're in love with her. So that's what we have to do. Thank you for bringing that up. That's what we have to do. We have to be willing to change.
Man, listen.
Going to sit there and deteriorate and upset a marriage that we don't even know. See, what a lot of people don't understand, the enemy can see your future too. And what he wants to do, he's not going to wait till you get there and attack you. He's trying to attack you before you get there. And you have to fight through that. You have to push through that fight and get where God is trying to take you. That's what you have to do.
Amen. Amen. You know, so you all are in this ministry together. So Sean is in Houston, you're in Lafayette.
Yeah.
You tell her, hey, I'll move. You don't have to move here. I'll move there. And shortly after your job goes, hey, would you like to transfer to Houston?
2 days. Yep.
You know what I'm saying? And so now you're in Houston. How long was it after you got to Houston that you felt impressed to be in ministry? When did
it was a few years, actually, to be honest with you. You know, and this really helps us when we're talking, Jimmy. I'm not ashamed to say that I was a handful. And she might say I still am a little bit of a handful, but I'm so much better. I was a handful, and it took me to realize that maybe the next time you speak wrong, maybe the next time you get upset, this lady's not going to want to be with you. It took me to realize that, and I couldn't go to anybody. I could have went to several people and got advice, but I had to turn to God. I said, God, what is it? What is it? And I didn't know at the same time. She was praying as well. We talked about it later. She said she told God, if he do it one more time, that's it. So we had to come to God. And when I started, I went to school. She had gone to ministry school, and I started going to the school some years later, and I went through the graduation. And I didn't go through it to be a minister. I just went through it because I like to read and teach, and God had different plans. So it was probably about 3 years later, once we got married, that I accepted my calling into the ministry.
So Sean,
he was already ministered. If I can go back, women, we detail. We're going to tell it like it is.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, Sean.
Leave a whole lot out because I'm always like, So anyways, with him coming here and us going through the ministry school and us attending different services, because you go out and you fellowship, we would always have prophets or prophetess would call us up and tell us, well, why you haven't started yet? And we'd be like, ain't nobody told us. I mean, God ain't told us, Although I could tell, I was like, he gonna be a pastor. And we didn't want that. I didn't want to deal with anybody on that level either. And so we kept hearing it. I promise you, back to back, we would get called up until it was to the point of we were saying, here go again. Yeah. And then this last time, my husband had to help minister part of a men's conference. And while this prophet he's from Chicago, he was ministering, bringing the word. And he stopped bringing the word and said, I have to obey the Spirit. I guess God had already told him to do something that he didn't do. So he said, let me go ahead and I have to follow the Spirit. He said, there's this couple here, and the Lord told me to do something and say something to them. And he said, I must be obedient. So he stopped. Now, we have a church service. He come all the way down. Dietrich and I are not on the front row. We're way on the left side. And he comes up to us and he put money in our hand and said, start the ministry. Didn't know him. He didn't know us. So we knew after hearing it back to back. See, that's how God was working. It wasn't every now and then. He started giving it to us back to back through his God. And then when he put it in our hand, we was like, where are we going to start? We don't have it. And he said, in your house. That's how they did it in the biblical days. Started in your house. But we already, and one prophet said, the people are already with you. Well, we was already having Sunday school in the house from people who are already Bible study.
Right.
Then they started asking for Sunday school, even though they was going to a different church. They hadn't joined. It was like, we're going to have Sunday school at your house on a Saturday. And we were just saying, okay, fine with us, because as being ministers, you have to give the people the word if they want it. You get it available. So we started in our home, and then we had to go to a hotel. Then we end up somewhere else, and now, so we didn't start church on our own.
Right.
We was actually running from it. It was like,
yeah.
That,
That
it's God. We love it because we love people.
Right.
Amen.
We love people, and they know we love them.
So Sean, my next question is just gonna flow. I mean, because you told me you was running from it. So how did you come to accept the role of First Lady?
I think it was. I didn't think about it. I really didn't. I was just. My husband, this is what my husband do. I'm going to support my husband. I was an armor bearer for Pastor Vanessa Evans. Today is her birthday, and I want to say happy birthday to her. I was an armor bearer for years in the church that I went to ministry school for. I watched a lot go on. I watched the good time, the bad time. I watched women be against her. I watched a few be with her. And I didn't know why I was looking at all this, but I just loved her, even her personality. Real. I don't feel like it today. I don't want to be bothered. And I still loved her. God just say, love her, regardless of how she is, love her. I would try to explain that to the other women in the church. We got to love her. We got to lift her up. We got to pray for her, not knowing I was going to be in this position one day.
Right.
And so I do have, I always hear that the pastor wife have a certain clique. Well, I was like, well, that ain't going to be me. You don't have a clique, but you actually have a few that lift you up sincerely.
Yes.
A clique. But they're really there for you.
They're your supporters.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
So I've accepted the role. That's not the only part to me as First Lady. I really don't even like the word. I'm being honest. I don't try to live up to First Lady.
Right.
That's why I forget sometimes. It took me for forever for people, to get used to people calling me First Lady. Right. That was new to me, and I understand the role. One day the Lord said, well, we're kingdom kids. And I say this to our ministry. If Michelle Obama walk in there, what y'all gonna do? How they gonna treat her? The First Lady is here. They're gonna be excited. They're gonna run and do everything. Obama, they're gonna treat him a certain way. What about the kids of God, the kingdom kids? Right. Yeah, we are God's royalty. Not that you want people to lift you up, but we as Black people, we have to treat each other, teach each other how to treat one another. Exactly. One another, how to love one another. Our African brothers and sisters, they live by this. This is how they treat their elders. The first, the oldest brother, the oldest sister, the mother, the father. They treat them like kings and princes and kings. And it's no different in the church. The people have to realize this is how we to treat one another. So not wanting to be lifted up, didn't want the title. But hey, this is where God put me. Favor ain't fair.
Right.
But I'm here to love the people and be right there with the people. Check on them, love them, whatever they need, be there. Not sit there with a hat on across my leg. I'm active.
Right.
That. And if I got to do that, I don't want to be there. That's just honest to God truth.
Right.
John, do you wear a hat to church?
No, I do not. I have a few of my grandmothers that she passed, but
it sounds like
it's not easy. The role is not easy because, like I was taught, I have mentors. They're gonna love him. They're gonna like you.
Right.
Have mercy.
They're gonna have to learn to love you.
To love you.
You have to learn that, and I get it.
And then there are the cases
preaching, and they life is changing.
Right.
Right.
And it's like, well, who are you? You know,
to your credit, Angela, and I mean, Sean, Angela said obedience. You were obedient. Like that's what it sounds like. It wasn't even a thing of when you're being obedient, you're not even necessarily worrying about all the frills. It's like this is what God is calling me to do, and that's what I'm gonna do. If you're looking at me as first lady, that's well and fine, but I know what my mission is.
Yeah.
Right.
So to your credit, that's really powerful that you were able to identify that and heed what it is that God would have you to do.
I'm gonna tell you what I heard. This is what I heard. I heard she always understood the responsibility.
Yeah.
She didn't care about the title.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yes.
And unfortunately, too many of us are chasing titles.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Rather than respecting the responsibility.
Right.
You know, when you respect the responsibility of anything you're doing, you respond differently to how you do things, how you treat people, you know, and what that does by default, what comes from the heart goes to the heart.
Yes.
I'm a firm believer of that.
Yes.
When you genuinely care about people, people start to feel that.
Yeah.
They can't deny, even if at first they didn't like you. You know what I mean? They start to say, well, you know what, that joke is always there. Or they, you know, their support. They eventually start to see, but the important thing is you cared about the responsibility and not necessarily the title. And I think that's why God will continue to bless you all's ministry.
Definitely.
As long as you all are focused on his mission for his sheep. You, as the under shepherd, keep doing what he's called you to do to help guide his sheep in the right direction. God is going to continue to bless you all. And you know, and when we're getting back to the relationship thing, because we're asking these questions because these are really laying the foundations for the questions about marriage. Because here's the deal: now that you guys are in ministry, you know you've accepted your responsibility as the first lady, and now your personal challenges of marriage come into play.
Yeah.
Now
that's where it gets real.
Exactly. So now how you gonna prepare a sermon and you know you and your wife at odds?
Come on.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yep.
People don't really talk about that part of our lives. It's like, you know what, man? I mean, and God dealing with you through that sermon. Like you know,
I'm gonna speak to these people, and I need the Lord to speak to me right
exactly.
now. I need the Lord to speak to my spouse right now.
So
I didn't know y'all had been on flies on the wall, you know, before this happened. So
that just happens. It happens in our house.
Everybody doesn't understand that. Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
So how do you deal with that? To help the people understand, how do you balance that?
Your ministry.
It's not easy. You know, it is not easy. And it seems like we can start on a Monday and just have the greatest day. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday night, here you come. You know, early Sunday morning, you know, here it is. And when we look back on some of the things that even started, we even wonder how it gets started. But what we have to remember, and I stated it earlier, the enemy can see as well. And he is trying his best to stop what God has in motion. And if we succumb to that, not only are we hurting ourselves, we're hurting the people.
Exactly.
He tells us in Jeremiah 23, woe unto those who scatter my sheep.
That's it.
We have to keep all of that in our minds. And my wife is a praying woman. You know, she is a praying woman. She can be mad at me. She can be just highly upset with me. Before I get up to speak, she is going to come and put her hands on her husband. And for her husband. And that changes things. The enemy has to flee when you do things like that. And we've learned that we don't have to stop that just in the ministry. We can take that through those problems we may have on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday as well now.
Right.
We have to take a balance. We do have some people who would tell us sometimes, you guys need to take a day and just for yourselves. And we have to listen to that.
Man,
let me add to that as well. It goes back to having love for the people. It's not about me and him at that point. We are
exactly
for the Lord. We ain't looking to turn around. So what we do, we have to put that to the side. Yeah, I may be upset with him, but when I pray for him, it goes away. Yeah. Even if it's something we got to talk about later. But for the most part, it's about the people at that point. It's about the people of God. And so we have to pray and we have to keep going.
And it's hard to pray for somebody and stay mad at them.
You sound like you're talking from experience, Rachel.
Oh, without
some years back, maybe, but because of where I am and I love God and He got us where we love the people. Once you give yourself over and you surrender to where God has brought you to, it really does become about the people. He'll in a minute. No, I'm not going. And I'll tell him, you're not gonna hurt the people of God like that. Even if he say, "Ooh, I'm tired right now," you got to keep going. We got to, because this is what the enemy wants.
Exactly.
So I have to push him on. Two is better than one.
Yeah. So look, I want to definitely share some of these comments that we're seeing here.
I want you to scroll back to one of their people gave Sean some props when she was talking about what she does. I wanted to say something earlier.
Well, look at Miss Chisley. She says he's preparing you for the attack of the enemy. That's what God does. God is okay. I don't think as Christians sometimes we really believe the stuff we say. God is all knowing.
Come on.
You know, he's the beginning and the end. Like, okay, God already sees the greatness that he's put on you.
Amen.
And he already knows the devil is going to attack that.
Amen.
So he's already preparing you for the attack. But most of us hate the preparation.
Come on. Come on. We want to be CEO when we graduate high school instead of going through the steps to get there. Yes.
Okay. Let's go to something we know most of the males can talk about.
All right.
Dietrich, do you remember them suicides?
Oh man, running from one end to the court to the throw.
Did you like that?
Yes, I remember.
I hated those, right?
I did too.
But guess what? I rarely got tired in the game.
That's right. They prepared us. That's a great example.
Man, he'll say suicides. We were like, man.
Oh, here we go. Yeah.
Or if he goes baseline, we like, oh crap, you know.
Yeah.
Because we knew that was going to, and then he got to the point where he would set a timer on the clock. Like,
yes, you had to be
run it slow. He made you run it fast.
That's right.
I'm like, oh my God. But that's what God does to us in our lives. God is like, listen, you know, I would have preferred Rachel not to have such a mouth, but she does. But I'm trying to teach you how to do. Babe, I'm giving an
example.
This is real talk. I'm gonna give him this. Come on.
The look was priceless, Rachel. The look was priceless.
He don't get me.
This is what it looked like when we are sinners. This was sinners. Jesus.
Well, no, but seriously though, I'm focused on her talking. God is saying I'm focused on why you getting the attitude.
Yeah, come on, that's good.
You see what I'm saying?
We can adjourn off that one. I'm gonna get in it better after that.
God is like, yeah, she said whatever she said, but why are you getting so angry?
And he's also saying, listen to what she's saying. Because although you may not want to hear it,
he ain't said that
yet. God gives a woman, and Sean, I think,
Ava's talking about a good one.
Sean is a good example of that, like she said, and I appreciate that. I respect that about you. She understands the ministry and what she's there for and what her husband's there for. And if the enemy can get in and divide them,
that's right.
Not only is it going to affect the word that people are waiting for, but it's also going to cause even more dissension with them. God does a two-way thing. He blesses the people, and he's refining our characters in the process.
And you know, when I think about when you think about God, look at how genius he is. He distracts you from your own issues to help others with theirs.
Yes.
And you don't.
And then he come help yours.
Yes.
Well, see, the distraction is I'm gonna give you this thing to focus on.
Yeah.
When I give you whatever you need to help them, you're also being helped in the meanwhile.
That's right.
That's how
You don't
God
even
works.
see
Yeah?
it. Right.
But sometimes we don't let the process go through, right? You know.
Right.
Correct.
But I love the fact it warmed my heart to hear you say, my wife comes and lays her hand on me and prays for me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
See, a lot of women want to be prayed for,
Right. Right.
but they don't want to pray for.
Yes.
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 You see
They
what I'm
don't
saying?
understand the power that they've been given.
Listen.
The first lady.
let me tell y'all something.
That's right.
When I share these things, and people, we read and pick out of the Bible what feels good to us, not what God always wants us to hear, right?
Uh-huh.
And I often tell women, I say, women, God said you are the help meet.
Mm-hmm.
Now, mind you, he didn't say meet what? He said help meet.
Yeah.
That's a list of stuff, right?
That is. That is.
You can't dictate what you're supposed to help him meet.
Right. Right.
You just be the help meet, right?
That's right.
And then
That's
I have to tell guys, listen, I mean, yeah, she may be doing whatever she's doing, but your job is still to be the spiritual leader, the protector, the provider, the teacher. That's still your job. You see what I'm saying?
That's
Yes,
right.
it's frustrating. Yes, it hurts, but you still have to do your role. Because if you stop doing your part, can you really complain when the other part is not being done?
How can you? How can you?
You can't justifiably say, well, you're not doing so and so, when you know you have been dropping the ball
Right. Right.
consistently. You know what I
Defense
mean?
mechanism. Yeah.
Right. And so what we have to realize is God is always trying to teach us. He just uses different techniques to get our attention. And for me, I don't know about you all, but for me, God lets me see it in someone else.
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
don't let me see me in somebody else. He'll go, do you see
Right.
that? And I'll be like, oh my goodness. He's like, you know that's you, right?
Yeah. Yeah. You said, how can he be acting like that? And then God say, get that mirror out your pocket.
Right.
And I'll be like, oh Lord.
Wait a minute. Yeah.
And let me say this. Let me just take it to a whole nother level. And I've said this
Come on.
before at other lives we've had. I truly believe that marriage is salvific.
Mm-hmm.
Many times when we get married and you have dissension or the issues that come up, we're so focused on what that other person needs to do. If you just did this, everything would be just fine. And that other person becomes a distraction for the work that you need to do within yourself. That God has placed this person in your life for you to do the work. It's bigger than that person.
Yes.
It is about you. It is about looking intrinsically and figuring out, Lord, what is it about me, about my character that I need to straighten out?
Come on.
Smooth out those rough edges. Because truth be told, especially since this is my second marriage, truth be told, many times people end up divorcing because they feel like, they have irreconcilable differences, whatever the case may be. I can't speak on everybody's individual situation, but if you don't work out those kinks within yourself, you will simply package it up and carry it to the next marriage and the next marriage. And I'm telling you right now, if you're not willing to do the work, you will never find what you're looking for because you're avoiding it because you do not want to make the changes that are necessary. I believe that is the bigger picture in marriage, is that God put me in his life to help refine those things within him that need to be refined. And he put him in my life to help refine those things that need to be refined. And Lord knows there's sometimes I'm like, Jesus, help me, Father. Is this how you want to do this?
Yes.
I want to talk about some relationship, real talk. Is this how can I trade him? Can we talk about this, Lord? But then when you go back to your own prayer closet, you know what, God? Could nobody else do it like this person could have?
Come on.
So
but it takes what you're talking about, real talk, to get to that. Yes.
Exactly. We have to submit to that.
Yeah. I think all of us have to get to a level of maturity where we can be truthful with ourselves.
Come on now.
It hurts us. It really does hurt us when someone tells us something about us that doesn't sound good or feel good.
Yeah.
And the reason that is because we have all painted a fake picture of who we are.
That's right.
All of us have.
Yep.
Like, you know how it is. if somebody tell you a fishing story, boy, I caught 50. You know they really caught 10.
Yeah. 10 to 12 is what they really brought.
You know what I'm saying? It's like we always
was really 2. Yes.
we always aggrandize who we are. You know what I'm saying? And very few times are we honest about, just like you said earlier, you said we have to be real so the people will be real when we're talking to them. Because when they're talking to us, they ain't gonna tell you the truth.
They're not. That's
I
right.
always expect within the first 2 to 3 sessions for them to never tell me what they did.
Right.
They're gonna always tell me what the other person did.
Every time.
Because that's where the focus is.
Right, because here's the deal. I often ask people, I say, guys, you know there's a thing called cause and effect.
And effect, yes.
You know,
yes.
That thing happened because something else happened.
Right.
In a lot of cases. We don't like that. And Rachel laughs at, well, she tells me that's not funny. I'm this type person. When I watch a bully bullying somebody and then something real bad happens to the bully, I think it's funny.
Right.
Rachel's like, why are you laughing? I'm like, because he worked for that one.
Yeah, he deserved that one. He was looking for it.
He put in some overtime to get that.
Like my grandmother used to say, he was campaigning, so he won the election.
I'm not saying he didn't deserve it.
You just won the election, and I'm like, good job. You got what you deserve.
I'm laugh at it. That's all I'm saying.
Because here's how we are. Here's how we are as Christians and human beings. We will go around planting seeds of distrust, planting seeds of gossip, planting seeds of all kind of evil crap, right? Mm-hmm. And the moment they start growing, the fruits of our labor grow up. All of a sudden, our feelings hurt. Why everybody talking about me?
Yes.
Why don't nobody like me? Probably you've been gossiping about everybody.
Come on.
Maybe it's because you haven't been treating people right.
Yes.
Would it happen to be that you be lying on people all the time? I mean, but we don't like to see that in ourselves in marriage.
Right. Angela's comment on the screen. It was the sentiments I was thinking about. Angela Ruffin.
This one?
She said, living a lie keeps us frozen without growth.
Yes.
And that's so true. And I'm so glad you said that, because we know where that lie comes from. It comes from the enemy. And we literally are frozen in fear of judgment.
Come on.
Of like what people might think, fear of being wrong, all of these fears that overtake us, and yet we're not growing and wondering why our relationships are stagnant.
Hey, listen to this one. Look at this one.
Powerful stuff you guys are saying.
Is sometimes uncomfortable, and that's what people don't like. I've learned this. We don't really like the truth. We only want to keep it 100 as long as it's about somebody else.
Yep.
I'm good with keeping it 100 as long as it's about you.
Somebody, right. I got to put 10 on it when it's about me, though. Correct.
You got a problem.
Yes.
We like to call people haters and all kinds. No, I'm just telling the truth. I mean, you're really not as good as you think you are at that. I mean, and we don't appreciate that. There's a comedian. I mean, you all should know him. He's in the Houston area. His name is Marcus D. Wiley.
Yes, I've heard of him. Yeah.
Marcus D. Wiley has this joke. He says, his dad's a preacher, and he said his dad used to call him up all the time to sing. And he used to sing, "Though the storms keep on raging in my life." That was his favorite song, right? He said, so one day he's in college and he needs some money. So he tells his best friend, he's like, man, let's go to my daddy's church. He gonna break me out some money. So he goes home, goes to his dad's church, and his dad sees him in the back of the church. And his dad said, boy, come on up here and sing your daddy a song. He say, so he go grab the mic, because he cocky. They done told him all his life he can sing. He looked at the DJ, the pianist knew the key. He started singing. He says, don't listen to my voice, just look at my face. He had all the facial expressions, but he couldn't sing. But he did the theatrics, right?
Right.
So he finished singing the song. He said the people were shouting all this stuff. He said he'd go back there, see his best friend, look at him and go, man, I got to give you your props. To know you can't sing and still get up there, And so he said in his heart, he felt his friend was hating.
Right.
But when he actually got the truth from other church members that he was offended because they never told him the truth.
They never told him he couldn't sing.
He didn't want to hear the truth. He had been lied to all his life and lied to himself that he could sing. And that's how we are even in our relationships.
Yes.
One of the analogies I like to use is the mirror. All of us check the mirror before we leave home. All of us. We look in that mirror to make sure everything's good. And if we see something, a dirt smudge on our outfit, we don't argue with the mirror. We just go in the closet.
Go and change it. Come on now.
But as soon as your spouse, who is your mirror,
right,
points out one of your imperfections, you're all about to have a war. You're about to have a war. It's like, why am I lying? Did that not happen? Are you doing that? Why are you getting so angry? You know,
we gotta humble ourselves at the end of the day.
We do.
The
hardest thing is realizing that that person is there for you, not there to hurt you. That's the hardest thing.
But you know,
to be rooted in trust.
To be honest with you, I can see why we sometimes can't take that. There are situations where one never wants to be wrong. So any correction from you, I don't do that. You know,
that's common.
And so it makes it difficult. But that same person that don't want to take the advice can always give it.
Can always dish it out, right?
What? Listen, I'll tell you what you need to do. What you need to do. If you stop doing so and so, so, you know, that's how it works. And for me, God is teaching me like, okay, Jimmy, you have to stop expecting the truth to be packaged where you will like it.
Yes, that's good.
That's good.
That's real good.
Come on.
Stop expecting it to be packaged just like you like it. Because the truth is, it could be packaged in the prettiest box with the prettiest paper. If it don't meet your standards, you're gonna reject it anyway. There have been times she's come to me, babe, can we talk? I'm like, oh Lord, here we go.
I thought that was just in it. Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
And so she'll use all of the right techniques. She will. I mean, and I'm giving her credit. She didn't come, you know, with a stank attitude. She really came right. And what she said, I was like, whoa, you know.
Whoa, shouty.
You know, I didn't like what she said.
Right.
In the moment, I didn't like it. And my initial response was to get frustrated or angry. But see, this is what God does to me. He's like, how you want her to listen to you and you won't listen.
Yeah.
Boom.
And so now I have to, you know, calm that beast, you know.
Baby, I don't remember seeing that. When did that happen?
Rachel, Lord, let me
move on, huh? Let's move on.
We're gonna talk about that after we close.
See, that's how she do it. Throw me under the bus.
No, baby. I just want to.
No, seriously.
I want to revisit that.
There are times when I have come to you and said, "Babe, you're right. You were right." Rachel, don't even try that.
This is what I truly believe, and this is so good. This happening towards the end here. I don't want to distract the people.
And can I say something even about that exchange you guys just had right there? It takes being able to laugh.
Yes.
You don't have to jump up and turn in circles and do backflips and get together and let them all out. It takes being able to laugh at some disagreements. You have to. We just all sat here and watched you guys go through that, and it looked like you could have been reading our paper. It could have been scripted. It was so well done. And you guys just looked at each other and laughed. Now I don't know what's gonna happen when the camera go off, but you laughed in front of us.
Being real.
Listen, Dietrich and Sean, trust me. I'm so used to being thrown under the bus, man. I don't even have a skeleton.
Wow, and I got holes all up in me because he. But you know, I'm just saying. Sometimes in the future, baby, when those moments happen, let me be a part of it so I can know that you had that awakening. But with that being said, back to Dietrich and Sean.
Silly.
That was a little sidebar. I want to know, and this might help somebody who's listening. This is both your second marriage. What is it as you reflect on being married the first time and now being married again? What is it that, whether it be advice or what is it that you've learned throughout this process of having been married the second time that you wish maybe you would have known the first time or that you would love to share with somebody?
Okay. You want to go first?
Yeah, I can go first. For me, and I'm speaking just for me, I've always had it to where I want to build on my relationship with Christ. You can't make somebody else want to go that route with you. when he and I got together, he wasn't looking for anyone, and I most definitely wasn't looking for anyone. In fact, turning down everybody, and I was fine with that. I was telling people I'm married to my boys, and that was okay with me. I was never a woman hungry for men, and just because you look good, that didn't make me chase you or anything like that. Not talking about anybody else that may have done that. This is just me, and I thank God for that. So I always I knew the person had to love the Lord because of the route I was going. So I knew that God gave me what I wanted, but he also gave me something to help me grow and to learn to listen more, especially that break in the marriage. I was doing everything for myself. This guy and I, we got together. I can't do nothing. We would fight over me bringing groceries in the house.
Have mercy.
Fill up my tank. I start feeling like a weak woman, but I really wasn't weak. That's just what God gave me.
Right.
I have to do those things. So I had to learn to let somebody love me. Man that his definitely even though we laugh and say there were some things where I was like, he got one more time. I had a hard shell. But as far as loving the wife, being there for the family, doing what it takes, I mean, I thought he was overprotective. I couldn't do nothing, you know. He wasn't like trying to, you know, some people just love you so much they don't want you to do nothing. It wasn't that. He's just a true protector. I had to, it took me growing into that, realize, step back and let him do it. And I was like, well, what are these people gonna think for me if watching my husband carry 10 bags and I can't carry one? We literally would fight. And till I realized, hey, that's just how I got it. I got it that good. I went to, like, he didn't want me to fill up my tank. One time I said, I'm gonna fill my tank up because I just want to feel that strength again. And one day I decided I'm going to the gas station. And when I looked up, there was a man behind me. Now I looked up, there was nobody at that gas station. But the Lord was trying to tell me, I sent you somebody and I want them to do that for a reason. I can go into a lot of things that we don't have time for right now, but things that my reality is God, which should be our reality. Love him, but he doesn't come before God. And God will put you in situations to test you of that too, to see what you're going to really do. I know he's here to help me grow, and I'm here to help him grow. His is not only going to heaven, but taking others as with me, as many as I can take with me.
Amen. Amen.
It's not about me no more. Some people may find it odd, strange. I don't know. I don't have many people that like to bond with me, but that's okay because this is a lonely walk. I understand that.
Yes.
Right.
Call you alone. He just call you alone. There are things you're not gonna be able to do. You're not gonna be able to go with all the women and go do this and that. And
right.
I'm somewhere else. And so I learned that reality for me is God, and I can't let nothing tear that up or come between. Working on that, and this is done as God truth. That's what I'm working on daily.
Wow.
Amen.
For me, I would have to say,
go ahead.
If you're in a first marriage or second marriage, there may be some things in the second marriage you cannot dwell on what happened in your first one.
That's right.
You can't bring baggage in with you. You can't bring what you liked or what you even disliked. Something you disliked in the first one, you may start loving in the second one. People who were in their first marriages, there were some things that happened 10, 8, 5, a month ago. Let it go. You have to let it go in order to grow and move. God can't take you if you're carrying all that weight around on you. Let it go. Talk about it. Don't sweep it. That was one of our biggest mistakes at the beginning. We had the sweep syndrome. Some would come up and we sweep it under the rug. And we had to understand and learn that. So I would tell everybody, tackle your problems right then. Take a second to breathe, because you don't just jump right in it. Take a second to breathe. But when it's tackled, when it's talked about, agree to disagree, let it go.
Amen.
Bring it back up next week when the pork chops got burnt, or you wanted chicken wings and you got a hamburger. Don't bring it back up then. Let it go.
You know we good at that.
A lot of room for love. That's what we ought to be doing, loving each other, not fighting. And that gives a lot of room for love when you get all that stuff out of the way.
And let me say one thing. This is being real talk right here, because this is the second marriage. Because you've been with someone else for a while, you'll start saying, well, this person used to do it this way. You'll forget some of the bad stuff they did because you're mad at the one you're with. Right. I remember we talk better this way and that way. And that ain't nothing but the enemy, because you got to learn the one you with. Right. You're over. If you know in your knower, this is from the Lord. Right. All that stuff go, because it's just natural to bring some stuff with you. That's that doesn't matter no more. It don't even fit in that marriage.
Exactly.
And if you want to, you got to make up your mind. You want to grow. and you want to go on. And that's when you just, hey, let it go. And that way you discover everything that's in your mate now that you need to know. And so you can fully love them. But if you're holding on to everything else and comparing it to the old, you can't fully give them the love they need. And they can't love you like they can because you stuck somewhere.
Right. Right. And then, I think, Erykah Badu, when she made that song Bag Lady, I'm like, if you listen to the lyrics of
the meaning, yes.
Yeah, it's like you can't keep hauling around all that old hurt,
yes,
all that old frustration, all that old disappointment, because what you're doing is you're bringing that expectation into your current situation.
Right.
And what people don't understand about us as human beings, we are literal energy. That breath of life that God breathed into us, it's energy.
Yes.
It is.
And so it's like that's why he says we have to be mindful of how we think. We can think things into existence.
Yes. Yes.
So if I'm thinking positive thoughts about Rachel, even when Rachel is not making me feel so positive, I can do just what God did when he spoke it into existence.
Correct.
I can say, God, help my wife. My wife is going to be a perfect wife. She's going to be a great wife. Not perfect in the sense of flawless.
Understood, right.
But perfect in the sense of she's going to be exactly what I need. You know what I'm saying?
Right. And that's perfect for you. Correct.
I keep bringing that positive energy into the relationship. It'll shift.
Control the narrative. Change
It'll shift.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
But I tell people, because think about it, when you do the opposite, when all you have is negative energy, you're giving off that same energy.
Right. You are.
And that negative energy is being received. And 9 times out of 10, guess what they're going to give you in return? More negative energy.
That's right.
What Annie said. I thought what Annie Latrice trailer band, old things must die for the new to live.
That's right.
Now Calvary.
The Bible talks about back in the day, they had to change the wine skins.
Right.
Because once the wine skins started to get old, guess what? It started leaking the wine out.
Correct.
So don't you try to put no new wine in no old wine skin.
Correct. I have a friend from Monroe. He's a minister now. I think I saw him come on earlier, and his name is we call him TL Tedrick McClellan, and his wife Chantella. He gave an analogy one time. You can't carry around that same water because God can't put anything else in there. If you bring in that same baggage continually, you want to keep that where it is. How can God put something in? How can he put the perfect wife to you if you're still carrying around everything else and not letting him fill you up?
That's it.
Let it go so he can fill you back up. And I really love, he said that in a Bible study one night, and that really came back to my attention when you said what you said. We have to let it go. And that's the only way God can fill us with what we need, with that perfection, if we let it go. If I'm still holding on to something from my first marriage in 1997, I cannot get filled back up with what I need for this perfection. And he gave me perfection. So I'm getting what I need to show her that. And then we continue to grow and mature together. That's what it's about.
Amen.
This is perfect name. That's real talk.
Right.
You have to grow and mature together. I can't stay in 12th grade and she has her PhD in marriage. It won't work that way.
Oh my goodness.
Not that she won't love me, but I won't be able to love her like I need to because
you won't even have the capacity. You all will be on different levels.
Two different
levels.
That's why we have to be equally yoked. See, in the Bible, it talks about being equally yoked. As Christians, we only think that means spiritually.
Right. And come on. That's right.
Actually, it's compatible. Are you all compatible across the board?
Yes.
Then it goes on to say, well, how can darkness and light reside in the same? You can't. Right. So if one is smart, the other one's not so smart, y'all ain't gonna get along after a while. After a while, it's just gonna be a problem, right? If one has understanding and the other one doesn't, after a while, that's gonna become nerve-wracking, especially when one don't want to grow.
And that doesn't mean the opposite doesn't attract. You just said it right there. But if the opposite, they start growing and maturing together, that one who doesn't even know 1 + 1 = 2 can tell you what 400 million times 400 million equal when they start growing and maturing with you.
Exactly.
That's where it stands. That's where it gets strong in your marriage.
Yes, sir.
And you have to be one in purpose. And that's what's clear to me about you, Dietrich and Sean. you guys are one in purpose, but you have different roles to fulfill that purpose.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
That is just a powerful thing. Baby, can you scroll back to what one of their
Which one?
church members said something about Sean when we were talking about, scroll down a little bit more. Scroll down a little bit more. I like to give. She is a true warrior from Christ. She was placed in Dietrich's life for a purpose, which is to fulfill the master plan.
I think that's one of your.
That's one of your. But thank
Yeah,
Angela. We don't know her. We don't know her.
yeah, she is something else. Boy, I can tell you, we
spiritual
love
things
her.
Are spiritually discerned.
That's right.
And
That's
and
right.
She's very clear.
Thank you so much, Angela.
Yeah, what your purpose is, and within that, all you do is continue to uplift your husband so that he can do the work of God.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yes.
Powerful
Thank you,
thing.
Angela.
Yeah, it is a powerful thing to see, and people need to see that is possible. You guys are not perfect, but you serve a perfect God.
Yes.
Amen.
Yes.
Got all whatever you got going on. When it's time to go before the people, you're gonna lift up God.
And let me just say this too, man.
That's awesome.
Because you all love the people, and because you love God 1st, and you love to serve God's people, the people are not going to harp on your flaws.
Correct. They actually help lift us up.
What? Because
Really? I mean,
you have a heart for God. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, and they know we love them.
Oh,
they know we love them. If they see something, we have one who will call everybody in the ministry, say, do not call them tonight. They need their own time. And they listen, they'll listen. There are ministers that are on here. I saw them come on. They'll tell them, call us tonight. You know our number. Give them time. They'll know, and they the last thing they want to do, and it's sad. We've been in churches where people wanted to tear down the leadership.
Right.
They wanted to tear it down. We have people who will come by our house, stand guard at the door, and don't let anybody in until me and her are where we need to be and get the time.
Wow.
That's what God has done for us.
See,
that's why we love them. We showing them that God loves them. They loving us back, and it's growing. It's growing all through the ministry. Marriages that were on the brink now are strong.
See,
because of God. It's because of God. It's because of what He's doing. And so she and I understand sometimes that we have to go through some certain situations so they can see, okay, God is in the middle of it. He can sustain us, and that's what we're about.
Right.
God for the platform that you guys have given us today as well to share that with people.
Man, listen, you all have been a blessing to us.
Definitely.
And I know the listeners have definitely enjoyed it because of the comments. And for those of you who are watching the show today, thank you all so much for tuning in. And if you all have enjoyed Dietrich and Sean as much as we have, won't you all go ahead and give us some hearts and some likes so they will know that you've appreciated them too.
Yeah.
Dietrich and Sean, thank you all so much. We've already kept you all 30 minutes over.
Really?
We're fine. We're enjoying this.
Yeah. And what I do want to ask you guys, I couldn't do it how you guys would do it. We do have a lot of people following us that I don't want this to be their last time. So if you guys would kind of introduce what you do in the daily time, the Sundays slot.
Okay, tell them about what
you guys have been help.
Okay.
Well, Jimmy and Rachel, Relationship Real Talk, we've been doing this for maybe 2-3 years now.
Yeah.
And every Sunday at 6 p.m., if you go to Jimmy and Rachel Rogers on Facebook, you will see, we'll usually have a countdown about 15 minutes before, and you join us. We have all kind of conversations. We invite.
That's 6 Eastern, guys.
Yes, 6 Eastern, because they're in Texas. They're an hour behind.
Oh, yeah, that's right. 6 Eastern time, so that'll be 5 p.m. Central time.
Right.
Correct?
Yes.
We do relationship trainings. We've done things with churches and organizations. We've even done stuff with the school system. And we also have done one-on-one counseling with couples. I mean, what's interesting is we started doing it virtually before the quarantine, and now, it was a seamless.
There it is. Yes.
But at the end of the day, we both came from situations where I was once married and divorced. He lost his wife. We're a blended family. We have almost 30 years of marital experience together. And we just want to be used by God to help marriages.
Amen. Amen.
And you're doing it.
And we want to dispel the myths and the lies. And we don't want people to continue to walk through life with the mask and they're hurting and they're in pain.
Yes.
We want to free them from that so they can truly have a marriage that is thriving and not just surviving.
Amen.
Well, thank you
Amen.
for giving us a shameless plug on our own show, but now we want you all to give us your information because we want our people to also follow you all in your ministry. So let them know where they can look you all up and follow you all on social media.
Amen.
All righty. Well, we are Pastor and Lady Sean from Mount Calvary Christian Center in Houston, Texas.
Amen.
Yes.
We're on Facebook Live. We on YouTube Live. And we love the setup. God, this is a divine connection. We feel it. We know that. We thank God for you guys. And the reason we got, Jim and Rachel, Deacon Sean, we got that from you all.
Right.
Hey?
Right.
So
I need to call and get a few lessons. I see. I like some things you did.
Yes.
Hey, man. Listen, it's already on there. We'll run through it.
Yes,
so
sir.
we're asking anybody who lives in the Houston area or the surrounding areas, Pearland, Katy, it doesn't matter, just to come on out and visit us. It's okay to fellowship with other churches.
Amen.
Right.
And when are you on Facebook?
Come visit us.
And we
Yes.
do Tuesday night Bible study at
Yes.
7 Central on Facebook, and we do Sunday mornings at 10 o'clock on Facebook.
So what was the Tuesday night one again?
7 o'clock Central.
7 o'clock Central,
Bible study night.
Tuesday nights on Facebook. And what is your Facebook page name?
Mount Calvary Christian Center.
Mount Calvary Christian Center. So
Yes.
guys, listen, for those of you who are watching, tune in. I listened last Tuesday and I really, really enjoyed it. I promise you will be blessed. These
God
are
bless
true people of God, and
Yes.
he rightly divides the word of God. And so I'm just thankful for you guys again. Thank you all so much.
you, guys.
Thank you.
This will
you.
not be the last time. And
Amen. All right.
We had a good time.
Once this quarantine thing is over, and the next event that Rachel and I plan, we're definitely going to get in contact with you all so we can possibly have you guys come down and do a segment in one of our events.
They were the perfect couple to kick off this real marriage.
They really was.
Real
Wonderful.
talk.
And of course, as always, we'll see you guys next week on Sunday. We'll be on again.
All right,
Yes,
praise
we
God.
love you.
I also want to thank our ministry and our members who
Yes,
they are enjoying it. They're putting a lot of comments
I
up.
see.
Oh yeah, they
Really
good.
good.
I see my mom. My mom was
And
even
his
there.
mother
Yeah,
is on
she
there.
was there.
Wow.
Yeah, Mom made a comment earlier about
You,
something.
you knew it was her, didn't you? Just by the comment, I'm sure.
She put his mom.
Oh, okay, all right.
And we love you guys. We love you, MC3. We love you guys for having
That is
connected.
God bless
We're
you
connected
guys.
now.
Praying,
Look, we are.
Yeah.
We
we're
are.
praying for you.
And look, whatever if you all need us in any kind of way, you just let us know, man.
Believe it
Thank
in my
you.
heart. I
Same
know
to
it.
you guys.
Believe it in my heart. Yes.
Well, look, you all be blessed, man. Until next time, guys. We'll talk to you all soon.
All right.
All right. God bless you guys.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Have a good one.
Guys,
Bye-bye.
tune in next week. Have we confirmed for our next week?
Yes, we have confirmed, but we're not going to tell them.
We're not gonna tell
No,
them?
we're not going to tell them.
Hey, make them come back.
Yeah, we want them to come back.
You don't want to miss.
Yeah,
next
trust
All
me.
right.
Don't want to miss.
This couple next week.
They've been married less than a year.
Yeah, less than a year.
Oh, we need
good.
to.
Yeah.
Yes, come
We've
back.
known
everybody.
them. We've known. Well,
One of them since she was a child.
yeah, and the other one, I have known him since I went back to Oakwood University. That's where I met him to go through theology and psychology. That's where I met her husband. And when I found out they were dating, I was like, you know, and
Yes,
so
they are a hoot, especially her.
yes,
So,
yes.
Can't wait. Can't wait.
You
Can't
all
wait.
will be truly entertained and you will be informed. I promise you that.
All right.
They're both amazing Christians,
And love the
both
Lord.
gifted, but Jill missed her calling. I think
You
she
just
should have.
said her
You
name.
just said the name.
She should have been a comedian. That's all I'll say.
All right.
Y'all be blessed.
Look, y'all have a
Bless
good
you guys. God
Guys,
bless you.
Next week, you all join us again on Relationship Real Talk, and we'll see you all soon.
Bye-bye.
God bless.
All right.
Mwah.
Oh.